morning. Something different today. It's a kind of a gray day, and I wasn't sure how the lighting would be inside, so I thought, well, let's do it outside, even though clearly it's about to pour rain. So we'll see how that goes. I happened to be, this is Victoria Pendragon. This is my alternate reality, welcome. And this is my, yard. I live in a roundhouse, so it's hard to call it a backyard, but it's a yard. This week I was doing an interview with Pia Louise, who has a blog talk radio channel called Tiny Whale, I believe it is, Tiny Whale. And we were talking pre-interview about what we were going to talk about on the interview. And one of the things she asked me about at that time was, why am I doing this? Why am I doing my alternate reality? Why am I talking about this sort of thing? Just random snippets here and there. And what I told her was that I'm doing it to validate these kinds of experiences for other people. I'm not here to talk just for the sake of talking. I'm not here because I think my life is so incredible. Well, that's not true. I do think my life is incredibly fascinating. But that's me and my life, and I don't expect anybody else to find it necessarily fascinating. And that's actually why I'm talking about it, by way of validation for people. For instance, everybody dreams. And I think pretty much everybody knows that it's kind of boring to hear other people's dreams. They don't relate to you. They're not your dreams. They were fascinating for the people who had them. I know I have fabulous dreams. And I remember my second husband would get a look on his face when I started to tell him about a dream. It was just like, oh, please don't go there. Fascinating as they were to me. They bored him to tears. So, still, that's my reality. And in this case, I have a reality that's a reality that a lot of people don't have. So everybody knows dreams are okay. And everybody probably has people they can share them to that find them interesting. I know I do. And I know that other people tell me their dreams, and I'm equally fascinated. So, well, perhaps not equally. I don't think that's possible. But if you experience things in your life that are outside of the normal realm, as the things that I describe here, it's critical to your enjoyment of being alive that you embrace those things and that you don't kind of tuck them away in a pocket where there's doubt living as well. And the doubt comes from what happens when you tell these things to other people and they look at you sideways. Or you know that you can't tell them to some people because they would be like, yeah, I don't know. That's not validating. And it can cause a little doubt to creep into your own mind about, not yourself, although I suppose worst case scenario, yes. But it can bring down your own experience of loving what's happened to you and loving everything that happens to you, because you're thinking, well, there's this thing I do, and, some people don't get it, some people don't like it. So what? That's what I'm here to say. So what? As human beings, we have brains, and our brains are amazing. And many things can go differently with our brains from one person to another, and many things can go wrong, somebody would say, with our brains from one person to another. Certainly, schizophrenia is considered to be an incorrect functioning of the brain. It is nevertheless a functioning of the brain. And if you have not seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, I recommend it because it's thought-provoking from the standpoint of what really is your reality anyway. As I mentioned earlier, at the scene of a crime, if a detective interviews people that have witnessed something, that detective will get as many different stories about that as the people he interviews. Because of the nature of what's inside us, the nature of what we carry, everybody sees things differently. Therefore, technically, everybody's reality is different. And if your brain functions differently, then your reality might be very different. And the trick there is, to the degree that your brain is functioning in a way that renders you difficult to get along with in society, then somebody might ask you to medicate yourself. But if your brain is functioning differently, and you're able to function just fine in society, more or less, I'm kind of a hermit myself, so. But if you can get along with people at a party and chat, and you're not hurting anybody and not intimidating anybody, you're just behaving like a person, then your reality is just fine, thank you very much. And if it happens to include the fact that you talk to angels, or that a fox comes and visits you once in a while at night in your bedroom, or things like that, that's excellent. That's just excellent. It gives you a richer, deeper appreciation of life itself, to love those things. And, quite frankly, but then I'm kind of an activist in this area, to talk about them to people who don't believe them. Because those people who don't believe them, the more the people like us talk about them, well, the more it's going to be in their face. And I don't see how you can then say, oh no, you're nuts. Yeah, me and a few million other people. Really, I don't think that's nuts then. That's not a problem. That's people who function differently. So I wanted to reiterate that in case someone has sort of tuned into this series halfway, and hears me telling these stories and wonders, well, why the heck is she bothering to tell these stories? This is why. Because I want everybody to tell their stories. Not necessarily, to the entire world, but to the people that they know, to the people that they come across. Because that is exactly how people are going to understand and embrace the fact that we do live in a multi-dimensional universe. And some of us have access to that multi-dimensional universe in different ways. The DNA is changing. It could well be that the entire species is headed this way, to communicating differently, communicating interdimensionally. It's very funny, most people do not live in the now moment. However, most of us tend to think about humanity as, this is it, this is humanity. This is how it's always been, how it always will be. No, it's not. And all you have to do is look back to Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthal man and look at the differences between their functioning and our functioning. And imagine that in a few thousand years, humanity might look every bit as different and might function every bit as differently from now as now does from then. So, that's my soapbox, which I like to get up on occasionally, and I'll get off it now and let you go about your business. But this is why my alternate reality is on YouTube. I'm Victoria Pendragon. I'm an interdimensional being with interdimensional access. There goes my outdoor timer. And I'm out of here. I love you. Bye.